So May 12th of 2009 was when I was diagnosed, and then I did chemotherapy from May 19th until November 3rd, and I did radiation for 5 weeks in that process, and then I had my surgery on November 23rd of 2009, and was finally able to return to football on September 4th of 2010 for my first game back. Yeah, I do, and it's not a daily thing, but I think when I step back and kind of realize how everything has gone in my life, I feel very, very lucky and very blessed to be at this point because it could have turned very differently. It could have been a very different story, and I thank the people around me for kind of getting me to where I am. Just kind of doing a lot of non-weight bearing stuff, and then that progressed into doing box jumps, and I did, you know, a lot of different kind of workouts like CrossFit. I did a lot because there wasn't like tons of weight, but it was high repetition, high cardio, and then I would get to doing like heavy weight squats. At BC, there was my girlfriend is in the military, and one of her fellow ROTC people was big into CrossFit, so he started a CrossFit class in the BC gym like 3 nights a week. So he would teach it and lead it, and it was basically me and 25 girls, and we'd do CrossFit, and it was watered down CrossFit. There was no real Olympic lifting. We used all dumbbells and stuff, but it was a lot of the cardio aspect where consistent changing of the different exercises and doing different sets. And so uh, I found that I got a better workout from doing that than I did really anything else. The night before the games, I always have Black Forest gummy bears. I had been limited for so long in terms of basically I wasn't allowed to run or even jog for 8 or 9 months because of the chemotherapy, the radiation, and then my surgery after it. I could ride a bike and I could lift upper body, but that's you can only do so much with that. So um, basically coming back and actually just starting to work out felt amazing, and then you know ramping it up each week and each month was kind of it was cool stepping stones because I'm a workout junkie anyways. So being able to come back and do something like that was great. Well, CrossFit's it's different because you're in a weight room and all through football you want to try to bench the most amount of weight one time or the heaviest squat one time, but CrossFit's like how how many times can you do this set in the certain time you have given, and so it's all about lapping people and trying to all right, well, I'm on my 25th burpee while they're on their 10th burpee, and so it's like, all right, I'm gonna keep pushing, and it was cool because I was doing it with all these little girls, and they could run for days, and I'm not built to run for days. So, I felt like I was competing with them with that, and it was cool because it didn't have to be in a big like meathead gym setting. It was kind of cool because I always thought that I was in good shape and that I could work out with the best of them, and then they never stopped. I mean, they had no reason to be there other than they wanted to do CrossFit. They wanted to get in shape, but they just kept going, and I was like, well, I can't stop if these guys are going for all 25 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it was. I got to keep going harder than them. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they beat me most of the time. There was always one or two girls in the group who were real CrossFitters and they were really into it. And so it was just kind of cool to have a workout bond with people other than football players. It's very, very tough to cook in a crock pot. It's very hard. So there's foods. So you go through chemotherapy, and when you're in chemotherapy, they tell you not to eat anything you like because you associate all the foods you eat with the chemotherapy, which is a weird mental association, but I think it's the smell. So I loved cheesesteaks. I loved being from Philly. I love cheesesteaks. I loved cheeseburgers and stuff like that. So right. So I decided I was going to eat all that stuff while I was going through chemotherapy, so I'd associate the bad flavor with the chemo. I know. Right, so now the rice and the beans, I can deal with that. So that was my system, and it worked. Yeah, see, it worked. Because, uh, you know, after 3 or 4 months, I thought that I could, you know, compete in terms of staying active and staying, from getting winded. But I couldn't jump as high, I couldn't run as fast, I couldn't do as many squats until, really about a year later. So it took a long time to get back. No, I thought it was going to be way quicker. Uh, so mentally, it's all right. I finished my chemo, I finished my surgery. Now I'll be back to normal, but that's not really how it works. And I wanted to do a lot more than I could, or kind of sooner than I could. And so, it was just a mental thing where I thought I could do it, but I actually couldn't do it yet. Yeah, so having a titanium rod through my femur uh, is, you know, it's just a different part of me. And I think that guys get injured all the time, and they take that injury and they either play nervous with it. They say, oh, I don't want to get my leg hit because I get injured again. And you see their kind of play fall, or you see guys who say, you know what, screw it, I'm all in. I'm going to do everything I can to play, and whatever happens, happens. And that's kind of my attitude. There was nervousness at the beginning when I was playing that maybe the leg would break and that it wouldn't heal again. And I say, this is a decision I made that I wanted to play again. I'm going to take my chances, and hopefully everything will be okay. I've taken lots of hits on my leg, and I think the first time I got hit, it was like, ooh, I'm glad that held up. But then ever since then, it's been fine. It's definitely a change of scenery, and your whole expectations kind of change. You have expectations for yourself when you're competing at any sport, any activity, and you want to be the best you can be. And then when that gets kind of taken away, they say, okay, well, you have no shot at being what you wanted to be. That dream is over. So my thing was, all right, I wanted to be, the best, I guess, cancer patient I could be, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I wanted to have the energy. I wanted to kind of be alert at all times. I tried not to get sick with my treatments, and so like I kept my competitive nature up a little bit doing that. Where after chemotherapy, I say, okay, well, yeah, that was a tough day, but I'm going to go to the weight room. I'm going to get at least a half hour of lifting in, or I'm going to get at least 5 minutes on the elliptical in. And so I kind of would build with that through my process. My big inspirations were my family, because they were with me every day. And, in terms of people who had done it before, I talked to different people. This guy, Walter Musgrove, he was a football player at a Division II school, and he called me early on in my treatments, and he actually had bone cancer in his collarbone, and he was able to return to football a year later when they told him he wouldn't be able to play again. And so I called him my guardian angel a little bit, because it would seem like every time I was down, he would call me at kind of like that point and say, hey, keep going, I can do it, you can do it. And so he was definitely one of those people. And then my best friend from home, his name is Zach. He told me when I had told him that I got cancer. He usually goes. He's a Jersey Shore guy. He goes to Jersey Shore all the time and works down there all summer, and that's his thing. He told me, he said, I'm not going to go to the shore this summer. I'm going to stay with you and come to every one of your treatments with you. And sure enough, every morning at 7 a.m., Zach was at my door. He drove into Philadelphia with me and sat with me through every single chemo treatment I had for the whole summer. And so having him by my side, that the thing that he could do for me, friendship-wise, I knew I had to get better for my family. I mean, it's all about never giving up, and it's a term that's been used by many different people through many different situations, but it's really the essence of human nature and the survival of the fittest, and you always want to push yourself to be the best. And I talk all the time about never being satisfied, and I think it's it's a little bit of a line you have to walk in terms of satisfaction and not being satisfied. But if you're not satisfied, then that means you're always pushing for something greater. And that's what our team's doing right now. That's what I'm doing right now, is to say, yeah, we've gotten this far, but we're not satisfied with just being in the Super Bowl. We want to win. And our practice yesterday was one of the best practices we've had all year in terms of competition, in terms of energy, and that, it's a good sign.